Hi, I'm Varun Haran. I'm Senior Editor with Information Security Media Group. I have the pleasure today of speaking with Matt Bennett, who is the VP for Sales and APJ for Carbon Black. And we're going to be talking about big data analytics and security, what the ground realities are, and what are some recommendations that you can leave us with here. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Matt, my first question to you is big data analytics has been a market buzzword for quite a while, and there's a lot of traction and gained on the ground as well. But is it really a game changer? What's the reality on the ground?
Absolutely, it's a game changer, and for a number of reasons, right? I mean, if we look at it through what's happening for the customer or organizations in the security landscape, what we're seeing from a threat perspective is constant evolution, right? And the ability for a customer to maintain a security posture that's effective, it can't be done using the traditional models, right? The traditional endpoint model, the traditional AV, it doesn't scale and it's not responding to what people are facing in their day-to-day exposure, right?
Sure.
So when we look at big data and analytics, I understand it's a buzzword, but what we're talking about here is the reality that we need to get to the right data, right? From an endpoint perspective, we need to capture everything so that we can then actually build out a good understanding of what's occurring, which using event stream processing, looking at that true understanding of what's occurring is going to give the customers and organizations the right view of what they need to do and how they can actually prevent attacks.
Okay, so that sounds like something that's common sense, and we should already be doing that. We should be looking at all the data, given we have so much data. So what's really the challenge when it comes to absorbing or consuming this data that's available?
Well, yeah, exactly. Look, the key in all of these is how do you make big data meaningful data, right? How do you actually take it and consume it in such a way that you can change the way that you deal with threats? The traditional model looking at prevention, reality is we need to move to that more predictive model, right? The idea of, first of all, prevent, discover, for the inevitable breach, respond, and then predict, right? And that's where big data and analytics really comes into its own. And we've seen it in other technologies. We've seen it in terms of how we've seen credit card fraud prevented over time. We've all had that same phone call, is this you? And that's based on an understanding of big data, looking for patterns, understanding what's changing, what's outside of the normal realms of behavior. And that's something you can't do without a true approach, a true capture of all information.
Right. So, with this massive velocity of data, let's say that big data analytics helps solve some of that problem, but you still have the incident response problem, right? What are you seeing in organizations today? How are they responding to incidents?
Sure. So, Carbon Black is involved on average in a breach every day, right? In terms of partners using our technology to understand what's happened. A large part of when you look at breaches, the first part, the large cost element of it is recreating the crime scene, understanding what's happened, and being able to kind of determine what you need to do from a response perspective. And there's a lot of challenges within that too, right? In terms of how an organization responds to a breach, right? What you're looking to do, what you're looking to contain, what you're looking to from a compliance perspective, what do you need to, there's a lot of challenges for customers now in terms of what they have to report based on maybe their industry, their country, and that leads them to have to make sure they're positioned well to respond to incidents. We recently released a survey across IR professionals using our technology, and there's a number of things that came out of that as tips really for organizations and how they should respond.
Okay, so let me ask you, what are some recommendations from this research that you've done? What are some recommendations that you can share with our audience?
Sure, so look, there's a couple of things that we've seen. The reality is that companies should expect to have incidents. They should expect that they will have to respond to an event. The key, the number one tip we would give to organizations is to have a plan, an incident response plan. And that can be as simple as, no matter what size you are, that can be as simple as, first of all, running through scenarios. What happens in the event of this scenario? What would we do? Who would we need to communicate? And that's the second tip, looking at what is your communication plan internally and externally.
Sure.
Probably the third key area that we would recommend is make sure customers understand their compliance requirements, what they need to report and how and when they would need to do that.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Matt, for that timely insight.
Thank you very much.
So that was Matt Bennett, who was VP for Sales in APJ for Carbon Black. For ISMG, this is Varun Haran. Thanks for watching.